Okay, so AI search is completely changing the game on LinkedIn. It's not just about being seen anymore, not at all. It's about being chosen. In this explainer, we're going to break down exactly what that means and, more importantly, how you win.
Yeah, this quote right here, it just nails the problem. Getting seen is easy. Getting impressions on LinkedIn, that's the shallow end of the pool. But getting chosen by a customer, that's the real goal. And it's a completely different game. Visibility and trust are not the same thing.
So why are we even talking about this right now? It all comes down to this number, 11%. LinkedIn is now the #2 most cited domain in AI search tools like ChatGPT and Perplexity. It pops up in 11% of all responses. That's huge. It's beating out Wikipedia, major news publishers, the whole shebang. The platform's influence is just exploding.
Which of course leads to the most important question you can ask. It's great that an AI cites you. Fantastic. But then what? What happens next? Because a citation isn't a sale, getting seen isn't the same as getting trusted. And this is the exact spot where most strategies are completely falling apart.
All right, so let's get into our first big idea here. We really have to unpack the vanity of just being visible. We have to separate the idea of simply being seen from the real outcome we all want, being chosen.
Check this out. This framework from Will Reynolds is just brilliant. It lays out the entire customer journey nice and simple. First, you get seen. Then, you have to be believed. And only then, finally, do you get chosen. The problem? Almost all the advice you hear is obsessed with step 1, and it totally ignores the 2 steps that actually matter.
And here's the thing. Visibility, when you look at it all by itself, it's what we call a vanity metric. You know, it's those impressions without any belief behind them. It's a citation that a potential buyer sees and then immediately forgets. It looks amazing on a report, sure, but it does absolutely nothing to move the needle on revenue.
You know, this obsession with being seen, it's not just that it doesn't help build trust, it can actually tear it down. And this leads to a way bigger problem, the trust deficit, where all that effort for visibility actually starts to hurt you. I want you to think about your brand's trust with its audience like a marriage. It takes years and years of consistency, of showing up to build that trust. But it can be shattered, boom, in a single moment. The difference is just brutal. And this is how that trust gets broken, little by little. Every single piece of that generic, kind of lazy content you see, the stuff that's only made to get seen by an algorithm, it's not just neutral. It's making a small withdrawal from your trust account. And these withdrawals are silent. You don't even notice them until it's way too late.
Okay, so if just chasing visibility is the wrong move, what's the right one? Well, let's take a look at the real buyer journey, what the research actually shows us about how customers make decisions before they ever even think about talking to you.
Get this. Gartner found that a whopping 77% of B2B purchases don't start with a Google search. They don't. They start with a recommendation. Someone they already trust says your name. That right there, that changes everything. So here's what that journey actually looks like. Number 1, a referral. Someone they trust brings you up. Number 2, they go to an AI tool, not to discover you, but to validate you. They're asking, hey, is what my friend said about this company true? Then, number 3, they go to your website and they're looking for proof. And only then, after all that, do they finally reach out for a real conversation. And listen, the data totally backs this up. Research shows that up to 44% of the prompts people put into these AI tools already have a brand name in them. They're not just asking who's the best, they're asking, tell me about this specific company. They're doing their homework. So what does all this mean? Well, it points to this huge strategic split that, honestly, most marketing teams are just missing. It's the critical difference between creating content for discovery versus content for validation. Your content really has 2 jobs to do. 2 very different jobs. Discovery content, that's what gets you found by strangers. It's optimized for search. But validation content, that's built to get you believed by someone who already knows who you are. It takes a real stand. It offers proof. It tells that warm referral, yep, what you heard is true, you can trust us. Most brands are making 90% discovery content when it should be a lot closer to 50-50.
So how do you know which camp your content falls into? Well, here's a super simple but really powerful test I want you to try. Go look at your last 20 LinkedIn posts and ask yourself this one question for each one. Would I, personally, send this in a DM to a potential customer?
When you start holding your content to that standard, all the generic, low-value stuff just kind of melts away.
Okay, so let's bring this all home. How do you actually build a strategy to get chosen, not just seen?
A trust-first strategy really comes down to 4 key things. First, start with a real point of view, not just some keyword you want to rank for. Second, be consistent. Say the same things over and over. Third, earn your distribution in trusted places. Don't just spray and pray everywhere. And finally, you got to measure the right things, like people searching for your brand by name. That's a true signal that trust and reputation are growing.
Look, at the end of the day, it really all boils down to this one simple truth. AI can show people any content, but only that DM-worthy stuff builds a brand that people actually recommend. In this new world we're in, the winning brands won't be the most visible ones, they'll be the most credible ones.
So the choice is really yours. Are you going to build a brand that an AI simply cites, or are you going to build one that a customer actually chooses? For the full analysis and all the sources we used here, just head over to thinkdmg.com.